Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having a great day. Likes, comments, and subscriptions are always appreciated. They do help out the channel immensely. I just woke up. You guys know the deal. I usually I'd roll out of bed and sit in the chair and then begin to make a video. But this one, I slept, it feels like I slept for like 18 and a half hours. It was just roughly around 10 hours. I don't know why I slept for so long. Maybe I needed it. So if at any point I'm not speaking English properly or the video sounds weird, it's because my brain still hasn't turned on yet. Yeah. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. It looks like the crypto market is healing because I saw very little news relating to the past events of the last 5 weeks that everyone has been like madly obsessed with for whatever reason. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Bitcoin price is preparing for a bullish close. These are the targets for December 2022. You are going to see a clear and common theme throughout the video. So remember, I told you a couple of weeks ago, and I think I even told you like a day or two ago as well. There's a very weird trend that keeps happening within the cryptocurrency space. I'm not sure why this happens. I'm not sure on what level that it's actually coordinated. That's not almost at paper ball hat. That's not tinfoil hat. That is legitimately what has been happening over and over, and especially during like these cycles that we have within the cryptocurrency space. There's always some type of maddening, crazy, extreme, terrifying event. Everyone goes crazy. Everyone, for some reason, begins to sell off their coins. There's tons of panic in the market. There's these really weird like lull periods, and then we hear about like mass accumulation of coins, which has also been popping up in the news over the last like 4 or 5 days. But then the next step, usually, this is not a given, it's usually the re-movement up back in prices after the terrifying event is over. We are also now, I mean, we are no more than a couple of days away from like the flipping of the switch for the news to begin turning to Bitcoin's halving is very close. And then usually as that happens, prices begin to move back up. Once again, that is not a given. We do not know if Bitcoin's price is, we are now on the cusp of removing back up. But gosh darn it, if every single news story didn't say the exact same thing. I was looking through the price news and I was like, everyone is talking about the exact same thing. We've had a number of billionaires and 100 millionaires over the last couple of days all talking about where Bitcoin's price is going to go, and they keep matching the exact same number for some reason. I'm not sure if they have a chart. I'm not sure if they're best friends and are sharing text messages back and forth. But now we have the head of Morgan Creek Capital saying that Bitcoin's going to 250,000. This seems to be a very big trend for some reason with this exact number. You can find articles where people are talking about that they believe that Bitcoin is going to $500,000. Some of them are saying it's around 5 years down the line. We need 2 more halvings for that. We need this to happen and X to take place and yada, yada. But for some reason, one of the main numbers that people keep throwing out there is the $250,000 Bitcoin. The earliest time frame that we have for that is next summer. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, we can all have a party somewhere, maybe in the metaverse. I don't know. But that seems a bit extreme. I could definitely see 250,000 during the next bull run, which is anticipated to, for those of you who don't know, this may be your first cycle. A lot of people tend to think that a bull run happens over the course of like 3 weeks. No. It happens roughly over the course of 1.5 to 2 years. So the idea is that from now, or maybe the middle or end of this month, Bitcoin's price would begin moving back up. And by the time we get to 2024, maybe the beginning of 2024, March, roughly around there when the halving is supposed to happen, this is when Bitcoin would reach its previous all-time high. And then over there, from the next year afterwards, that's when the price begins to really skyrocket, but it takes place over 2 years. A lot of people who are new to the market, this is why I told you all before, and a lot of you have seen, when you start getting those weird messages from your friend. Hey, I just saw Bitcoin hit 65,000. How should I get into the market? This is usually when you know that we're at the peak, because people who are otherized. I told you I'm not there. Otherwise, not interested in crypto, begin to message you about getting into crypto. That's when you know that we've kind of peaked in the market, if you will. It says popular analyst predicts Bitcoin rally, says US dollar flashing signs of ending a parabolic surge. There's a metric or a chart for looking at the dollar's price and how well the dollar's doing against other markets. It's called the DXY, usually called the Dixie. And the dollar over the course of the last 6 or 7 months was doing extremely well based on a number of factors. We're not going to get into all of them right now, but that seems to be faltering, wavering, seems a little bit shaky compared to where it was before. And a lot of people, for some reason, are predicting that based on that the price of Bitcoin will surge. But I think it's more of a with a weakening dollar, that stocks may also seem a little bit more attractive to foreign investors, and therefore that may get the stock market actually moving. That's how most countries, a lot of times you probably have heard in the news that a country is purposefully devaluing their own currency. And it sounds absolutely insane. It sometimes even sounds diabolic. But the idea is our currency is too strong. No one's buying from us anymore. The idea of importing and exporting with us is now too expensive for 35 other countries. So what do? You devalue your currency in some sort of way. So they go, now it's very cheap to buy oranges from there as opposed to the other countries. So this is how you begin to get the business flowing back over to you. So a lot of people have been predicting the re-decline of the US dollar in general. It just makes logical sense. It's still inflating. This isn't like we're not back at a 1% inflation rate. And the only reason it was really going up is because I mean, listen, we're not going to even get into that. Basically, other countries are usually forced into using the US dollar as destabilization happens because of the United States to force their currencies a lot lower. So then they're forced to use US dollar basis and brands. That's usually is basically the U.S. always stepping on other countries' necks. For those of you who don't know history, it's not tinfoil hat. It's just how it works. You can find what do you call it? Not documentaries. I can't think of the word. Conversations between one person and another. Interviews for former heads of state who have worked in the United States, and the three-letter. Anyway, they have all come out and said it. This is how the U.S. works. They're not the largest because of randomness. They are the largest because of. Anyway, it says Bitcoin price and Ethereum back above $17,000 and $1,300. Time to buy? ? Nobody knows. For me, I buy all the time. People are always asking, and I think it's just a sense of curiosity in general. I buy all the time. I don't call it dollar cost averaging. I call it, hey, I'm bored. I'm not buying NFTs today. Let me buy more crypto. The prices right now are laughably, ridiculously low. We've gone over this a ton of times, even for the other really major coins or the other coins that are in a sort of a beginning of a hype cycle, i.e., the Cardanos, the Solanas, the Trons of this generation. So not, the previous generation, because those coins are established, but the new coins that are kind of popping up. I'm buying everything all the time. Not everything. A huge portion of altcoins. I've always believed it's time to buy regardless of where prices are, because I do believe at some point Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000. So for me, there's no real difference in buying at $17,000 or $20,000. Same exact thing with Ethereum. I assume Ethereum at some point is going to hit $10,000 to $15,000, just based off of logic and the actual usage and the actual inflation rate or deflation, whatever. Why did I do this as I just woke up? I'm crumbling apart as I make this video. The point is, a large portion of the price news for some reason is really around this idea of prices are about to start roaring back. It says Bitcoin is overdue for a rally as on-chain metrics reach historic lows. This was said by Invest Answers. We are currently at the point where a lot of people are looking at the trading volume, the usage, and all these other things of the market, and people are seeing that the numbers are quite low. Why are they quite low? Because normally, historically, whenever people see that prices are low in anything, in the cryptocurrency market, it doesn't matter, stocks, what have you. The comic book market is also, I random thought, I don't know if any of you are following comics right now. A lot of comics that were previously being sold for $86,000 during auctions have recently sold for like $12,000. It's because everything is down and nobody knows what to do. There is no seemingly safe place to put money right now. So everyone's kind of like, just looking on the sidelines, kind of seeing if something will move, and then they'll kind of throw their money into that. The entire cryptocurrency market is well overdue for a rally. We should have never even ended the rally that we saw last year, just based off of actual logic and what Bitcoin is actually for. We see that the world's economies have been collapsing. That is normally, logically, the time when you would put money into Bitcoin. But now we're at the point where volumes on stock exchanges are incredibly low, historically low, because no one's trading any stocks because everyone's possibly anticipating another fall. No one's dumping money into crypto anymore because we don't see the trading volume there. We're not seeing all the posts of people talking about how much money that they made and how much richer that they are and how much the things that they're going to be buying with it. So, of course, everything is quite low. And all the metrics are still relatively fine from a perspective, if you want to look at it that way, as far as like usage is still up. Like Bitcoin is still 3 transactions per second, but people are still sending millions of dollars with it. Like all the networks and stuff are still there. It's just that, the interest has relatively dwindled. This happens every single market cycle. Vitalik, I don't think I have it in here. Vitalik Buterin had like a long speech sometime yesterday where he was telling people like, don't fret, prices are down, just focus on the technology instead. But it's also like, I think a lot of people are just kind of exhausted. Like you may not realize it, but 5 weeks is a very long time to just have news about the collapse of FTX in regards to cryptocurrency prices and all this other news that you were thrown at. Like it exhausts the mind and the body. Like it's a lot for you to constantly take in over and over, thinking about like the collapse of part of the economy that you have invested inside of. It's very, very draining. This is why I said, like, I feel like, even when you look at the news today, a lot of it is really far away from anything that has to do with FTX, which is actually quite nice. It says crypto prices today, major coins are trading in the green. Litecoin, Solana, Shiba Inu, and Ethereum up. This is the most spoken about coin of the day. Litecoin, for some reason, is on everyone's radar. I'm not sure what happened. The only Litecoin news that we have, which I'm going to show you, is for me usually not enough to see price movements like we're seeing in Litecoin. It says Litecoin continues to surge as hash rate records a new all-time high. How about Litecoin's price? This one says Litecoin soars by 9%, is $100 next. This one says Litecoin's price jumps over 8% amid soaring wallet addresses. So for some reason, and seemingly almost out of nowhere, Litecoin's price, you'll see it on the price chart as well. It's very weird. It kind of goes like this and then shoots directly up. Apparently, a lot of people are making new Litecoin wallet addresses. Why? I'm not sure, because there's no Litecoin news in general. I checked back the last couple of days just in case I missed something. Nope. There's no Litecoin upgrade, no Litecoin update, no Litecoin merge, no Litecoin downgrade. I saw no news at all of when Litecoin's next halving is. Maybe it might be close. I'm not really sure. What else was there? So the amount of wallet addresses that there are has apparently jumped. But why? Who's making new wallet addresses for Litecoin when there's no Litecoin news? There's been no Litecoin news for months now. There's been absolutely nothing new. The hash rate, sure, why not? A lot of times we see that if hash rate volumes are down for a coin and people realize that it is advantageous for them to switch their hash rate power over to Litecoin to be able to mine coins a lot easier. A lot of times that also will push up the hash rate and sometimes push up the price. But besides that, there's nothing going on with Litecoin. Unless you can tell me something that I missed in the news, there's nothing. Nothing from Charlie Lee, nothing from his brother, nothing from an upgrade, an update, something going to happen. This is going to happen to the coin. The last thing we got from Litecoin was the introduction of Mimblewimble. That was basically about it. So, yeah, all the price news is relatively positive. The only is stock news right now. It says stock futures slip slightly as traders look ahead to more economic data. Basically, they're waiting for other news that we were waiting for on Friday. How many companies have fired and or hired people? How many people have filed for unemployment? How well X company did despite having laid off an immense amount of people and their jobs or whatever the case might actually be. But even the stock futures are down by, 0.03%. So it's not anything absolutely catastrophic. But yeah, prices are up. The optimism has me weary because if everyone's talking about it, it usually doesn't end up happening. But we are near the time when prices would begin to move back up over the course of a 1.5 to 2 year period. So if the last 3 or 4 cycles have shown us anything, is that crypto is very cyclical. So yeah, that's all the price news. And yeah, let's move on. In news that I thought that we had covered, but now everyone's re-talking about it again this morning. Basically, and I guess we have the actual dates now. Maybe that's it. On the 2nd of December, the SEC and Ripple both filed redacted replies to each other's opposition to motion for summary judgment. So basically, long story short, on the 2nd of December, focus on Ripple because the SEC is garbage. Ripple decided to file for the end of the lawsuit. So they're asking for the summary judgment from the judge to basically say, hey, we gave all of our information. They gave all of their information. Please give us a judgment right now. This lawsuit has been going on for 2 years. I think this is sometimes why we keep seeing XRP's price popping up lightly some days. It's because there are allegedly a couple of lawyers within the cryptocurrency space who keep giving us information as to what they believe is happening. They've been looking through the documents and they think that the judgment will come out in favor of Ripple in the lawsuit. But for some reason, like I said, I'm pretty sure we had this news a couple of days ago, but this was very, very popular. And a lot of people were talking about it. It was one of the main news stories of today as well. I think it's just general excitement from the Ripplers. What are people who like Ripple? What are they called? I have no idea. So anyway, cool. Yeah, they officially have filed the summary judgment asking the judge to, please end this right now. I think the time frame that we got was either the end of this month or the beginning of January, something like that, when we should have a reply from the judge as to what the ruling is. So if you wake up one morning and you see that XRP is at $1.50, you'll know who won that case. Moving along. Also, why do people care about this news so much? It's very weird. She has a Pikachu in her box and her plant has a face. Australian-based crypto exchange SwiftX, that is SWYFTX, I don't know how I'm supposed to say that, has laid off a total of 90 staff members, which it said was in preparation for a worst-case scenario caused by the fallout of FTX. Please stop blaming everything on FTX. It just sounds really dumb and stupid at this point. What's the word for it? I don't even know what it would be called. A lot of people keep blaming their mismanagement of their own companies on FTX. It's nonsensical. We had tons of unemployment layoff news earlier this year before people even knew what the letters FTX were. There's so many companies. First of all, have you ever heard of SwiftX? No. We have never said that on this channel. They've never made it into the news. No one probably is even using them. Sorry to sound mean, but it's just the way that it actually is. This was incredibly popular news. Australian crypto exchange announces massive this was really, really popular. I only have 2 tabs open here because it's just about layoffs. One, I don't understand why layoff news is always so popular in the cryptocurrency space? Is it some sort of like weird thing that I'm just not aware of that people in the cryptocurrency space like when other people lose their jobs? I'm unaware of what's happening. Second, we've had about like 7 different companies over the course of the last 3 weeks, not even 5, who've been announcing massive layoffs, and they keep saying, oh yeah, it's because of, oh, it's totally FTX. They did bad things, so we have to fire. No one's probably using your website. If we've seen falling and hyper declining rates of usage of Binance, Coinbase, Gemini, and Kraken, we can only assume that something called SwiftX, that's only in Australia, probably maybe has around what $400 worth of trading volume per day. So weird, and I don't know how this happens. Yeah. Despite not having any exposure to FTX, the company was not immune to the fallout over the bankruptcy exchange. Please shut up. Like, take that somewhere else. I'm so tired of hearing this nonsense. All these people keep starting these companies thinking that they're going to make it rich or trying to scam people or get money. It's always the same. Every single cycle. And the entire time throughout the cryptocurrency space, people realize that the space is basically a gold mine. It's for the new age gold rush. Everyone creates a company. Everyone is decentralized. Everyone does this. Everyone's into Web3. Everyone talks about the benefits of how great it's going to be for people in the future. They start some kind of a company. No one uses it. And then they go, oh, yeah, it's current market conditions. No, it's no one's using you. We don't need 38 cryptocurrency exchanges. We currently do not need 55 decentralized exchanges. People are barely using the top 5 that we have right now. We don't need 50,000 cryptocurrencies. People are barely using the top 100 right now. It's always the same over and over and over. And to even think that you could say the words out loud that it had anything remotely to do with FTX means you were running a horrible company. Absolutely. It is complete nonsense that this keeps happening over and over and over. Like, stop it. Please, for the love of actual heaven. This one also ties directly into it as well. Bybit, which is apparently a crypto exchange. Sure, why not? No one's also using that. Bybit to lay off 30% of their workforce amid a colder crypto winter. I'm sure that's the only reason. I'm sure. So the news is that crypto exchanges that you probably were never using and have probably never heard of are laying off people because of FTX and the crypto winter. And even crazier, remember when we had news earlier this year that Binance was actually hiring people, and the reason they were hiring people is because Changpeng Zhao, he basically noted, he was like, yeah, we realized that at some point the market was going to go down, so we started to save money, and this is how we can hire, we can still hire people because we have tons of money at our disposal. I wonder, hear me out here, I wonder if the next round of cryptocurrency exchanges that appear when the market is booming will be saving money so they can still hire people when the market goes down. Probably not, because I'm sure they're going to be overspending. You have no idea how much companies, you have no idea. I won't even tell you numbers or what I know. How much money these companies spend when they get launched on ridiculous things. On like robots and stuff around the office and plants and other, like, it's absolutely insane. So no wonder they go broke. It's freaking crazy. Anyway, that's the companies are laying people off. Oh, wow. I totally didn't see that coming. That's crazy, man. News. Why do people like this news? Every single, like, all the time, this news is always there. Do you like that people are laid off? Okay. Let's move on. Also can someone please take this man's Twitter and Instagram and YouTube away? I mean, just for the love of actual goodness. Without even having to read through it, Charles Hoskinson basically announced, for those of you not looking at the screen, he said that not listing Cardano or ADA on your platform is tightly correlated with bankruptcy. He said this about Gemini, the Gemini twins and the Gemini's exchange, that them not listing Cardano on their platform is because he believes that it has to do something along the lines with bankruptcy, or maybe they don't have enough money to be able to list Cardano or something like that. I'm not sure why this man keeps stomping loudly in the apartment above his neighbor, but he keeps doing it. And it's like every single day. He's constantly causing fights with people. And this is, if you know him, can you let him know that this is not the way to make money? Projects that end up doing these, or rather, the creators of projects that make too much noise end up faltering. They disappear and no one talks about them. Because while it may seem cool for a couple of people to be like, yeah, he's calling them out, I'm going to tell you this right now. The other 98% of people are looking at him and thinking that he's going insane. You can't say, especially in a space as fragile as crypto, where everyone knows each other and everything is already incredibly shaky, the relationship that these people have with each other, to say that they're not listing your coin that you made, which also is a great thing for the SEC, to have proof that you stood on stage or behind a camera saying you're not listing my coin onto your platform because of bankruptcy. You're basically admitting that the coin was created, or you have more stake in it than you should, air quotes, or there's some type of correlation with a security, which is, a gigantic big no-no. There's a reason, usually a reason, why you don't hear Justin Sun as often openly discussing the word Tron anymore, or why the guy left, Litecoin. He said, because every time I say something about Litecoin, the price ends up moving in one or two other directions. I'm not sure if he's trying to make ADA become a security in the eyes of the SEC, but gosh darn it if he isn't trying. So for those of you who missed it, a couple of days ago, we got news that apparently FTX with Alameda was working or something with a company called Genesis, and Genesis was working with Gemini, because once again, all these people know each other. Genesis was working with Gemini to do their staking platform or funding platform or something like that. And then Genesis announced, because, magically, only because of FTX, that they were going bankrupt and may not have had the proper liquidity to be able to fund their systems. And this is when Gemini on their website stopped their earn program, making money and staking and stuff like that, that was tied to the portion of Genesis. So Charles Hoskinson is alluding to the fact that they had exposure to Genesis, which was working with Gemini, and Gemini still has not listed Cardano. It's because they might be bankrupt, which is absolute nonsense. So for those of you who don't know the legacy and the saga of the Gemini twins, they've been around in crypto since around 2011, 2012. They are, the word's not credited, but they tried to credit themselves as kind of like pseudo Satoshi Nakamoto's, and the market didn't care for that fantasy story that they kind of launched into the world. Their idea was they found crypto really early. They told everyone about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and therefore, they brought it to the masses. Once again, the public didn't care about that story because everyone else found out about it from the actual internet. It is known that they began to buy massive amounts of Bitcoin when it hit around $1. The story being, or the fantasy was, that they own over 200,000 Bitcoin, but that was a number that we heard around 2013 or something like that. They are gigantimous, not a word, advocates of just Bitcoin. The story always is, the coin that you bought the most of, that's the coin that you love the most. If you notice, Novogratz, or what's the other guy, all the over 50 plus men who are obsessed with one particular coin, they own a massive amount of that coin. There was one guy years ago, the story goes, he went to some little small office in Brooklyn looking for the new thing to invest in, and he saw this scrawny kid typing away on a computer. It was Vitalik Buterin. He said, "What are you up to? Do you need some money for this project?" He threw $1 million into it. Allegedly, Ethereum was at $1. He bought 1 million Ether. Can you guess which coin he goes onto the news and is always talking about as the greatest cryptocurrency? Right, it's Ether. They all do the exact same things over and over and over. The Gemini twins apparently have a large amount of Bitcoin. This is why even a couple of years ago, you started hearing them talking about Ethereum, and I said, okay, it's because they also have a large amount of Ether as well. The point to be made is people have been trying to get the Gemini twins to also list XRP on their platform for a number of years. They don't like it because they are in the space of Bitcoin only. Anyway, the point is, I don't think, first of all, you can't tell a centralized entity what they should or should not be listing. It is their platform. I was part of that group years ago who was like, yeah, you're not listing it because you're evil. Nope. It's their platform. I'll tell you right now, I will tell you this right to your face or digitally to your face or whatever the case might be. If I had a cryptocurrency exchange, I would not be listing Solana. Why? Because the coin is garbage. And I told you all that before. I would not be listing Tron. There's a whole bunch of coins. You could send me petitions. You could send me emails. I don't care what you do. I know a garbage coin when I see one, and I'm not going to list it. Not saying that Cardano is a garbage coin, but it's more of I have my own ethics when it comes to crypto. And the Gemini twins, their ethics happens to do with just money. So they're probably not listing it because they probably did not buy into Cardano early enough or whatever the case might be. So, yeah, that's the Charles Hoskinson says you not listing Cardano is tightly correlated with bankruptcy. Talking about the Gemini twins and the exchange. Maybe they just don't want to. They also don't have to. It's their exchange. They're not obligated to list every single coin. I don't know what you want from them. Look at me defending the Gemini twins. Really weird, right? Yeah, I did the same exact thing the other week to Coinbase. It's like when you will sleep a lot better. You will have a great night's sleep when you realize that these centralized entities are companies. You can't tell Google what to do. You can't go up to Amazon. You can't find Bezos and tell him what to list and what not to list and what to take off of Amazon. No, it's a centralized entity. This is why decentralization is so important. But people don't forget or remember that part. Anyway, that's the chart. Please, take his Twitter away. I don't understand. He's causing so many, rifts in the space and, getting so many enemies. It doesn't make any sense. Just only talk about, upgrades and updates to the coin or, what amazing new things are coming. You fighting. Do you think that the Gemini exchange is going to be like, oh, dude, Hoskinson called us out. We have to list this coin right now. Or do you think they're going to, I would be laughing in my office. Anyway, that's the Hoskinson news. He does this every single day. Somebody please help him. All right. Let's move on. Also this is supposed to be popular, but I think it holds no weight at all. A U.S. Senator John Bozeman, sure, why not, Boozman, has claimed that Bitcoin is a commodity. There have been a number of senators and congressional leaders and just politicians in general in the United States over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know why is that time frame. Who have been popping up to re-announce that Bitcoin and definitely Ethereum are commodities and not securities. Why they're doing this, I'm not really sure, but it keeps making the news. Unless they sign that into a bill, unless something is going to be finalized or literally written in stone next to the Abraham Lincoln statue, I think, who cares? Because I could also say, Bitcoin's a balloon. Ethereum's a cup. See, it means nothing because that's not, it's not law, it's not legal in any sort of way. So while I appreciate the support, unless these 16 politicians in the United States join hands and, make this into law, cool. So it's great that there's another, and I'll use the word lightly, another ally for the cryptocurrency space. But unless he can either move the price or he's making this into a law that Bitcoin is, and even then, it doesn't matter. The idea of a security and a commodity when it comes to Bitcoin do not matter. Everyone's been so brainwashed to believe that Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP need these classifications to be valid. It means nothing. These coins and these networks will continue to run with or without the US government. They will continue to send money back and forth with or without a verification or a classification from any government as to what they are or how they're going to be taxed. They will continue to exist. So the idea of, it's cool that we have an advocate, but the idea of Bitcoin being a commodity is not going to slow or quicken Bitcoin. Rightio, let's move on. Also in popular news, which I'm like, I don't really, not that I don't care, but it's like we've seen this act before. It says a European central bank blog has decried the end of Bitcoin, and it says we aren't buying it. So basically, the European Central Bank a couple of days ago announced that they are, I believe, in the final testing stages of their central bank digital currency. A lot of other countries have been doing the same. I think Singapore is one of them. I don't remember. It's like 8 different countries. Who cares? But the European Central Bank wrote an entire thing basically talking about that this will be the end of Bitcoin. Once people in Europe have a digital version of the crappy euro, they will definitely side only with the euro, and the idea of Bitcoin will simply fade away. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this is going to actually take place. And we've heard all of this before. This is not the first time that the European Central Bank has written something like this. The euro is also incredibly fragile. It is the second largest currency next to the US dollar, but it's also constantly faltering because there are many countries who want to leave the Eurozone or stop using the euro, because this is why the Scandinavian countries have actually been doing very well over the last couple of decades, is because they never adopted the euro. So I personally do not believe that people are going to forget about Bitcoin because the dollar and the euro become digital. We will still see that these coins, these government coins, are inflationary and they're still terrible. And once again, this is going to happen in our lifetime. We are going to witness a point where the stock market crashes, something falls apart, and governments start halting and red buttoning people's bank accounts because it's digital, and they'll be able to stop it immediately. And we had news about this before. For those of you who missed it, this was 2017, 2018. There was a congressional meeting. I don't remember when this was. And someone was talking. They said, in the event of a government, let's say like the stock market collapses, and the only way to really get it revved back up again immediately is to have an injection of cash. And the question was, would we be able to simply take, let's say, $15 from everyone's bank accounts in said country to immediately then push back into a stock market to get it revved back up again? And the guy was like, yeah, of course you would be able to. So we are going to have a point in our lifetimes where there's going to be a government who's going to have some kind of a stock market crash, a stock market collapse. The housing market will fall apart, and their government is going to take money from them. Everyone's bank account will have a little bit taken out to re-inject back into an industry, and you will become the bailout. That's when history will be like, okay, let's stop using this form of money and let's go to cryptocurrencies. I assume we have a good 20 to 40 years before the world actually realizes what cryptocurrencies actually are. It's kind of even like the idea. Anyway, I could deep dive, but I'm a little bit more awake now. I think I'm talking more properly. Anyway, so who cares? Does anyone actually care what the European Central Bank had to say about Bitcoin or Ethereum or the European Central Bank digital euro? No one actually cares, and no one's probably going to use it because that's what's happening in other countries. For those of you who missed that, the other countries who have already launched their central bank digital currency, their what do you call it? Citizens. There we go. Aren't even using it. No one's using it because, why would I? No, it's a lot of work. All right, let's move on. And also, in the most interesting thing that I found of the day, for those of you not looking at the screen, it says institutions are coming to replace lost retail investors. It's somewhere around one of the last two. I think it's one of these. It says, then you saw was a real turnover of the underlying investment base. And what we're seeing now and what we're picking up on now is that digital asset space is in the same turnover. We're hearing increasingly and seeing institutions replacing the retail money. So retail, for those of you who don't know, is normal people, and institutions are the bigwigs. And seeing institutions replacing the retail money that's been withdrawn, and institutional money is starting to account for larger and larger shares of digital asset holdings. So the normal, like I said at the beginning of the video, the normal trend, it's always the same. And it always has like a different saying. Last cycle, It was shaking of the tree. I don't know why that was one of the main things that people kept on saying. It was the idea you're shaking a tree and all the leaves that are on it that are loose begin to fall. They fall to the ground, and these are the people who are exiting the cryptocurrency market. The idea is at some point, the apples that don't fall or grow bigger are the institutions who are continuously taking the nutrients from the tree. Once again, I don't know why people keep using these, things to talk about crypto, but alas, here we are. It's always the same. This is why I personally believe this may not be the case. I've been in crypto for a very long time. If I had seen any dramatic deviation from the normal news story, you would have heard it from me first, because I don't really hold anything back when it comes to speaking my mind per se, except for the algorithm, what have you. It's always the same. It's always the market's doing okay, not the best, but we're waiting for the next market cycle to end up happening. The first time that this really took shape of something dramatic was the creation of Bitcoin Cash Satoshis vision. Sometime 2018, you can see the actual movement in the charts. Bitcoin was around $6,000. The moment that coin launched, that was as large. That coin launch was as large as the FTX scandal. Keep that in mind. It was as dramatic. Everyone lost their minds. People were panicking. Everything on the news was talking about that someone who claimed that he was Satoshi Nakamoto had created a brand new coin called Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's vision, and that was going to be the new Bitcoin, and people began to panic and sold off their Bitcoin, and that's when Bitcoin completely collapsed in price. Around a good 4 to 5 weeks later, the news began to say institutions in Wales, like I always tell you, bought the dip. They bought the lowest price. They bought the lowest so-and-so, and these people became some of the richest people on the planet as cryptocurrencies prices began to move back up. The same exact thing happened, I think, in 2020. It didn't have to do with Coco Roro. There was some other lie that we were told, and people began to sell off tons of their crypto as well. And that's when Ethereum, I think, fell back down to $100. And this is the current one right now. It's not that FTX wasn't big or massive or scary or crazy. It's that I was telling everyone to hold on for dear life, not even hodl, because this is the same lie that we keep seeing over and over. This is why when we heard the news from Changpeng Zhao telling everyone else to panic, that's why I was like, something's going on. Because if FTX was not the only exchange that was doing what they did. If you think that, leave the market right now. If you are completely trusting in everything else in this market is not for you. It's full of scammers and liars. I don't believe that there's not one other or two other or three other cryptocurrency exchanges that aren't leveraging massive amounts of money. They might have shaped things up a bit in the last couple of weeks when they realized that they could also collapse as well. But FTX was not the only one who was doing this. So the idea that FTX collapsed and everyone was like, you were told to panic. I just called what's some names out the other day on Twitter, because people keep posting these articles over and over about nonsensical things. This is, FTX is stopping people from making money. FTX is so and so and so. Is the market about to go lower? More exchanges are about to collapse because of FTX. And it's like, this is not happening all because of FTX, but you're told to be afraid. And the more that you're told to be afraid, anyone who even thinks of getting into the market is going to leave. Anyone who bought Bitcoin at 25,000 is now selling or sold at 15,000 because they were told that Bitcoin's price was going to go lower. You're constantly told to be afraid, but the cycle always is the same. They have the metrics for these things. While you may go onto a website to see what the current cryptocurrency price is, the large institutions, they have so much data that they're accumulating from crypto exchanges and from other places. They see how many new wallets were created at any given time. For those of you who don't know how this works, you can pay for this data. I mean, it costs a huge amount of money, but you can pay for it. You can see around the world how many wallets were created in April of 2022. And you see that these wallets were created on this date, and let's say roughly 1 million people got into the market. These people all bought 1 Bitcoin. Random number, just throwing it out there so it's easier to understand. 1 million new wallets, they all bought 1 Bitcoin. By the time we got to October, those million wallets had decreased to around 200,000, and 200,000 or 800,000 Bitcoin had been sold at the exact same time. They can tell how many people got into the market and how many people were flushed out by negative news out there. They see when the normal people who got into the market have left. You can find all this data out there. You can usually find it sometimes for free. It may not be the most, whatever, but this is how we always get whale news. How do you think whales always know when to buy? Because they see when prices are skyrocketing and going up. They see how many people, new people enter the market. People entered the market in August. The market hit its peak in December. These new wallets from August began to sell off on this date. They can see wallets who've been holding for 2 years who began to sell off out of fear. They know these metrics and they can see when the market, like this is how we always see, well, the market might have bottomed because all these new people who got into the market, they're gone. The people who were over leveraged, they've been washed out. All the other people who were, what's the other word? Over leveraging on these websites, 100x and 10x over leveraging, they've all been washed out. We can see all the new money that was there is gone. This is where the term, I hate it, but this is where the term diamond hands comes from. It's not just that you were strong enough to actually hold on to your crypto. It's you are some of the last people who are left who still have your cryptocurrencies after everyone else has been washed out of the market. Why are you washed out of the market? So the rich people can buy your coins. It's the same every single time. I've been saying this for years and years and years. I can't tell you what to do with your coins. I can only tell you to look at the metrics or the news that's constantly the same. Why do you think there was news a couple of days ago about like whale activity, and it was something along the lines of, what was it? I think 40,000 Bitcoin had been purchased by one wallet over the course of 1 week. Why did this happen? Because Bitcoin's price fell down to 15,000. Tons of new people who got into the market were terrified. They think that Bitcoin's never going anywhere. They sell off all their coins, and these people who are waiting in the back with $4 billion, they buy up all the coins at once. It used to be that years ago, the way that it worked was that these people would put in false selling orders. So they would simply, it still happens sometimes where they move their coins around, but I make sure to tell you in a video, don't be afraid of this. It's their money. They can move it around to where they want. But it's when they deposit these coins onto a cryptocurrency exchange and they put a fake sell order. Let's say I'm going to sell $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. They don't plan on selling it. But if you've ever sold on a crypto exchange, you can see where the sell orders are. And you see this massive sell order for $4 billion. It terrifies the crap out of everyone. They go, what does this rich person know that I don't? Why are they trying to sell off so much? And all the other orders begin to cascade. Everyone begins to sell at market, below market, however quickly they can get out of the market. And then all of a sudden you see one buy order at market rate. Whatever the price is, buy it up right now. And they buy up $800 million worth of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. And then that big sell order for $4 billion disappears because they never planned on selling it. They were simply trying to scare the market. It doesn't happen as much anymore. But the new way of doing it is getting people terrified by events that are happening. That's why I kept on saying, I was like, FTX is a huge event. I get it. But this is not the first time that we've heard something like this. This is not the biggest collapse in cryptocurrency history. This is not the Lehman Brothers. This is not the, what was the other thing? The Enron. Like, are you stupid to think that this is, not you particular, but people who were writing these articles? I'm like, this isn't Enron. You don't understand how big Lehman Brothers actually was. Sam Bankman-Fried was not the head of Lehman Brothers. He was a normal person who was, anyway. It says institutions are long-term holders. They wait for these kind of wipeouts to come in and establish positions, and they will wait for the market to turn. To be very clear, it's usually the most market-leading institutions that are really looking to be very creative in their portfolios and who have really shifted to this factor-driven model and realize that this digital asset space is bringing in a whole new set of what we're calling crowd factors. The point is, rich people are buying right now. Rich people are always buying when they tell everyone else to sell. It's always the same. And this will only be, my words will only be justified if over the course of the next, I give it 8 to 12 weeks, a good 2 to 3 months, if we see that prices not only have recovered, but we are getting people to start talking about once again how great crypto is, how high prices are going to go, because it's always the same. Look out for the old billionaires, but the new people in the industry who are like, yeah, I hated crypto before, but now it's so absolutely incredible. Remember how we kept on seeing those over the course of this year as well? I was like, well, he's been buying Bitcoin. Clearly, he's been doing it. It's always the same. Everyone's always constantly told to be terrified. And once again, this will happen again sometime in 2024 and in 2026 and in 2028. It's meant to we are not meant to be in this market. We are not meant to be in crypto. Crypto is now only for the rich. The original idea was that cryptocurrencies are for everyone, the little people. We're not meant to be here because this is a market that's only for the extremely wealthy now. Anyway, that's the rich people are buying. This is usually the next phase in it because I think we have hit the misery phase where everyone is relatively miserable with the market. But the institutions, the banks, the hedge funds, I told you before when we started hearing about cryptocurrency, what do you call it? Cryptocurrency retirement funds. The retirement funds aren't getting into crypto because they like the sound of it. They see the metrics and they're in it for the long haul. They're in it for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years for these retirement accounts. Alrighty. Let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, Martin Steuer, Bodie McBoatface, Sam Ratter, Dotha Diddy, Manny Cryptos, Crypto Gambino, Auspicious Agile, and Blockchain, Jamie Saad. And let's move on. Empire Queen, Roman, Gaba, Bitcoin, Ben Arachno, Dave, The Dealers, Den, Captain Something, and the Z-Way, Lay, Mo, Barazi, VB Nerd 21. Lauren De Silva, Quoted, Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Pater Noster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman, High XRP, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Anima Reader, Bibliophobia, Adam Graysick, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Setsuna, Paxis, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigger Macho Nisa, and On Crypto with Lionel. Thank you all an incredibly large amount for your support. Thank you to everyone who has left a like, a comment, has subscribed, has written another comment, or still here listening to me. I think my brain's still a little bit fuzzy. At the moment, Bitcoin is up by 1.8%. Ethereum is up by 2.9%. I'll show you the really weird jump up for Litecoin right here. Litecoin's up by 9%. It's a really weird jump, and then it kind of continues going sideways. The trading volume is extremely high, but there's no real Litecoin news. I find it hard to believe that Litecoin would have been moving up for the last week in price based off of new wallets. Who's making all these new wallets? Where are the new Litecoin users? Where's the Litecoin news? I don't know, but something's definitely taking place. Shiba Inu is up by 4. Solana is up by 4 as well. Uniswap is up by 3. Cosmos is up by 3.9. Kronos is up by 9%. It also shot up and is also moving back down right now. ApeCoin is up by 3.2%. Near Protocol is up by 4. Internet Computer is no, that's also something's also weird here. Internet Computer has $51 million of trading volume in 24 hours. If you have $50 million to push into the market, you can move the coin by yourself. That's how it works. Flow is up by 4%. Nothing else crazy, I think. Sandbox is up by 6%. No Sandbox news. I assume it's just general hype over metaverse size that are currently happening. Weird time to be in the market, but for me, prices are very low. I've been buying extensively all the time. On Vivi, I've completely lost my mind. I don't know what's been happening. I kind of black out and then I wake up an hour later. I think I got like 400 comics like a day ago or something like that. It's really completely insane. How people can be, my opinion, how people can be selling this low is otherworldly to me. Because even at current prices, if I'm buying a major comic for $2 and I resell it just for like the drop price, I've made 3 times my money. I don't understand why people deal with money this way or how fear actually works in so many other people, but it is what it is. Thank you. Wait, how does it go? I can't remember it. Thank you all for watching. Like it. Why can't I remember that? Wait, hold on. How does it go? Thank you for watching, listening, commenting, subscribing. I'll remember it tomorrow. I think I need to have breakfast or something like that. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, commenting, and supporting. There we go. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. Hopefully I'm more awake tomorrow. I think I did pretty well. I don't think it was as bad as my brain was making it out to be, because it could have been a lot worse. If you've been here for some other videos, I know somebody just laughed. Other videos before, when I just wake up, I know speak English good, and I don't understand how it works. My brain just doesn't connect. All right, okay. Okay, everyone have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon. See you.